It started with a mailbox, just a dumb, wooden mailbox, but if you told me back then that thing would spark a suburban war, I would have laughed. Yet here we are. It was around 6:30 in the morning when I heard the crash loud enough to knock the spoon out of my cereal bowl. I ran outside in my slippers, heart racing, and there it was, splinters of red wood scattered like confetti across the lawn, tulips crushed, my mailbox snapped clean off at the base like some cheap prop in a bad movie. And barreling away down the street, leaving a faint trail of laughter and tire smoke, was the Queen Bagatat, what we call the massive white Escalade owned by Nancy and Barbara, the twin tornadoes that moved in across the street. They weren't even trying to hide it anymore. I caught a glimpse of Nancy behind the wheel, her face lit up with joy, laughing like she just won the lottery. And Barbara. She had her phone out, filming the whole thing like it was a YouTube prank. It wasn't the first time either. This was round 3. First time, I let it go, accidents happen. Second time, I got suspicious. But the third time, oh, they were asking for it. Now, you gotta understand, these weren't your average nosy neighbors. They were a 2-woman wrecking crew. Matching floral dresses, thick clouds of perfume that smelled like melted cherries and regret, and voices loud enough to peel paint off a house. Every morning started with their music. Every evening ended with their complaints to the HOA, to the mailman, to anyone within yelling distance. I tried going through the proper channels. Filed a complaint with the HOA's less. Filed a report with the police, and not enough proof. So I did what any sane person would do, installed a motion sensor camera. 2 weeks later, I had my smoking gun footage of Nancy lining up her SUV like a battering ram and gunning it straight into my mailbox. No hesitation. Just boom impact. Barbara's laughing so hard in the passenger seat she drops her coffee. I take that footage to the HO again. Their response: "We'd prefer neighbors settle these things amicably." Yeah, right. I even showed it to the cops. Still no go. I had to prove intent, they said. Even with laughter on tape. I'm standing there thinking, is this real life? So I confronted them. Walked right up while they were unloading their grocery, sugary snacks, frozen pizzas, the works. I hold up a printout of the frame, Nancy's face mid-giggle, mailbox mid-destruction, and say, "You wanna explain this?" Nancy doesn't even blink. Photoshop. Barbara adds, "Deep fake." I'm like, it's a video. Still fake, they say. That was the moment I knew they weren't just bullies. They were playing a long game, and no one was gonna stop them. That night, I sat in my garage staring at the shattered remains of what used to be a mailbox, and something clicked. I wasn't angry, I was focused. If they wanted a war, fine. I'd give them one. I went online, started researching what I now affectionately call military-grade mailboxes. Turns out I'm not the first person to have this problem. Rural folks. Oh, they don't mess around. Steel reinforced posts, concrete bases, anti-theft plating. I saw one guy bury his in a literal boulder. I drew up plans like I was prepping for a siege. Steel pipe, 4 inches thick, buried 3 feet in reinforced concrete. Welded rebar. A mailbox shell that looked ordinary on the outside but was practically a tank underneath. I poured the concrete at midnight, sweating under the porch light, my arms aching, but man, I was smiling for the first time in weeks. It was beautiful. It was art. It was bait. Days passed. The new mailbox stood there like a sentinel. Untouched. I started to wonder if they sensed it. Like animals before a storm. But then, one morning I never forget this, it was just past 6:40 a.m., and I heard that all too familiar growl of the Queen badge. Tires screeched, engine roared, and I turned just in time to see Nancy gunning it straight toward my new creation. Barbara beside her, filming again. And then impact. But this time, This time it didn't go the way they planned. The front bumper folded like paper. The hood crumpled. The tire burst. Steam shot out of the radiator. The Queen badge groaned to a stop smoking, broken, wounded. Nancy screamed. Barbara screamed louder. I stepped outside, calm as could be, coffee in one hand, phone recording in the other. You sabotaged us. Nancy shrieked, stumbling out of the SUV, clutching her arm. I shrugged. You mean I put a legal mailbox on my own lawn? Barbara's face turned tomato red. You can't do that. It's illegal. I pulled out the paperwork. Permits, baby. Want me to email them? Cops showed up. Officer Ramirez, same guy from before. He looked at the wreck, then at the undamaged mailbox, then at me. Same mailbox, he asked. New one. Reinforced. Still legal. Nancy screaming about booby traps. Ramirez watches the video, lips twitching. Mom, he says, you drove directly into it. Again. Their insurance denied the claim. Intentional act, the agent said. Not covered. That little mailbox cost them over $7,000 in repairs. But the best part? The internet. Oh, the internet loved it. The video blew up. Reddit, TikTok, you name it. People called me the mailbox boss. Someone even remixed the footage with dubstep. But if you think that stopped them, you don't know Nancy and Barbara. Oh no. They regrouped. Quiet for a bit. Real quiet. Then the trash games began. Empty soda cans tossed into my yard, barbecue sauce smeared on the mailbox like some unholy ritual. It was petty, gross, and honestly, kinda sad. So I did what they feared most. I posted again. Security footage of them sneaking around in bathrobes like raccoons in a floor print cult. The neighborhood turned on them. Even Miss Fleming, the 80-year-old gardening queen, muttered men in polyester as she passed their house. Eventually, they tried going the legal route. Complaints to the HOA about weaponized landscaping. I showed up to the meeting with a binder full of receipts, video stills, timestamps, witness statements, everything. The board voted unanimously. Fines started piling up. Then code enforcement got involved. Turns out their property had more violations than a back alley casino. Their SUV got towed. Nancy lost her job. And Barbara? Well, she took to pacing on the porch, muttering to herself and occasionally throwing donut halves in my direction. The war, as far as I was concerned, was over. One morning, I stepped outside, felt the breeze, heard the birds, and smiled. No screaming. No engine. Just peace. But I saw her. Barbara, peeking through the blinds, watching. And I realized something. This wasn't done. Not really. People like that, they don't lose. They hibernate. And if she ever tries again, well, the mailbox is ready. If you've ever had to deal with nightmare neighbors, I wanna hear it. Drop your war stories in the comments. Was I right to fight back? Or did I go too far? Let's talk justice, petty revenge, and how far is too far when you're pushed.